Hello everyone, welcome to Rainy Day Makers. Today we're going to make a butterfly pocket. As you can see, these have some butterflies on them. So what you will need is a tag maker, if you have one, some edge corner rounders, some distress ink in Vintage Photo is the color I use, and some double-sided tape, and some scissors, some glue. Bone folder really helps a great deal. Of course, paper. I used double-sided paper today. It's one of my favorite kinds of paper. And we're going to make a bigger card so you can really see what's going on with the butterflies. Some of the other items that I used I'll list down below on the video. The white glue is all that is, so no worries about glue. And let's see. So the next thing we need to do is trim our paper, right? So there's a little glimpse of that trimmer, right? I need to move all this stuff out of the way so I can trim paper. So we're going to trim that paper down, and you can see the measurements on there, and we'll list them down below as well. This particular one, I believe, was a 12-inch piece of 12 by 12 piece of paper that I cut down to 6 by 12. Let me put these up here so you can kind of keep those in mind as we're going through this. And I'm using my Tim Holtz board. I love this little glass thing. Everything washes off of it. And so now I can get my cutter up there. I can actually cut this piece of paper now. So let's get that done. And I think I'll cut the small one first. I did want to make one that was a little bit smaller. So I'll cut that one first, and then we'll get on to the next piece. So this is my tag cutter. It fits, the largest it fits is 2 inches. So this one's a little teeny bit over 2 inches. So you can see I'm having a little bit of an issue deciding where and how to get it in the middle, since I'm off by probably a 1/16 of an inch. But it's really easy to push, which is why I like this punch. It doesn't require both hands. See, it makes a nice clean cut, which is a nice tag there. And you can make the tag as long as you want, which is what I like about this. It just cuts the top. So it doesn't decide how long my tag is for me. It just cuts off that top, which I really like. So then you can make it into whatever you want. So I'm going to score this so that it's a little bit easier to fold. And this will give me a nice straight line. I have a little bit of cushion where the watercolor pad on the tonic board is. So you can see how it folds much easier and straight across. So that's what I'm looking for in this. And then I'm just going to fold the bottom up to match that, because I already have my straight line. And just finger press that initially, and then I'll use my bone folder to go ahead and get a nice crisp line on this one. So the next thing that I need to do with this is get this glued closed. So I'm just going to glue the sides on each side, and we'll see how fast that one actually dries. And I'm going to cut, before I do the glue though, I need to cut this one open so that there's a place for the tip of the tag to slide into. And I'm going to go ahead and try this. It is a little bit small to use this method. It can be difficult to get that tag top into the little slit in the paper to close this pocket. But we'll see how it works by the time we get the butterfly attached to it. So I just do a quick cut from dot to dot on this one. And then I can fold it up and give it a try. Make sure it looks okay. It's not stopped or bubbled in any way. So, okay. So that's doable. And let's open that back up now and get some glue on there. And like I said, this is just plain white glue. I put it into a bottle that has a very fine tip on it so that I don't disperse a ton of glue. I just want a little streak of glue on each side for this. So, and I just folded it forward a little bit so I could see better where that ended, so I could know where to end my glue on this side. And we're going to leave that one end open because it is a pocket and we want it to be able to hold things. So if you decide you don't want to fold down the top of yours, maybe you want to make it a hanging pocket, you can choose not to fold over the top and not to put the slit in this one. So it looks really kind of cute. Even without that, you can see up in the upper corner, I do have one that is like that with a floral on the front of it, where I just left it as a tag so that, you know, you could slide something in the inside of it. That was this little pocket. So I'm going to set that one aside to dry, let that glue dry a little bit. And then we're going to move on to the bigger pocket. And same kind of method, except we're not going to use a punch on the top on this one. We're going to measure this. And I'm not sure if I wanted 1.5 inches down. What I'm making is the bottom of the top tag corner, and I'm not sure I like this, so I think I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I think I'm going to go the full, I don't know, 2 inches. I don't know, that doesn't seem deep enough to me. 2.5 inches down, that could work. That could definitely work. So I think I'm going to move that at 2.5 inches down from the top, make a mark on each side. And then I'm going to use my Tonic Studios board to do the measurement. And what I'm doing is I'm finding the middle, and then I'm marking 1 inch on each side of that center at the very top. So you can see where I'm going to make a little mark there, and I'm going to make a little mark on the other side. Make sure I'm still matched up. That way, what I can do is I can just cut from that top piece, that first mark, and then down to the mark I made on the side, and that'll give me a nice angle for a tag. And then I'm going to take that little piece that I cut off, transfer it to the other side to try and duplicate this. Now, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. You can be off a little bit even with this. Just make sure you watch your fingers when you do this. Don't cut your fingers with your scissors. So I know that this is a little bit off. So I'm going to fix it in just a minute. But first, I think I'm going to pull up my bottom so I can really see how much off is the corner that I clipped off. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. You can see on that one side, this a little bit off. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to trim that down and to meet the paper, and so that it's a little bit more like the other side. So I think that looks pretty good. All right, so what we've got there is we're just going to use our bone folder, get a nice crisp fold on the bottom of that. And I'm going to use the corner rounder just to take off those sharp corners at the top. So you just slide it in here. It's a cute little, I think it's by Bira, to take those corners off. So you get a nice rounded corner. I like those. Just makes it look, I don't know, a little more finished to me. So the next step we're going to do here is make a score mark in the top. Notice I did it the other way around on this one. But I needed to trim it, so that's why I kind of did this backwards. So I'm just going to make a score line there so I can get a nice, crisp, easy fold for the flap of this particular pocket. I'll just fold that over real quick. And you can see where that just makes it such a better, straighter line when you do score it. You don't have to have anything heavy to score it. I just use my bone folder, on top of something with a little bit of give. That's all. So that folded out nicely. And now we have it looks like pretty much like an envelope, doesn't it? And I like to call it a pocket because we're going to do a few things to this so that you can use this in your journals. Of course, if you wanted to mail someone a letter with this, you absolutely could. You just have to make a few changes, like not having any three-dimensional items on it. But I'm going to go ahead and glue this one because I am not going to glue this. I'm going to tape it. So sorry. I'm going to tape this and just close it up. This is a really simple way, by the way, that you could make yourself an envelope if you don't have one. Just grab some of your papers and make yourself an envelope. And then put an address on the front. You voila, mail it to anybody. This is cardstock, so it might be a little heavier than your normal envelope. But it can be done. So we got that nice and secure. So next, I think what I'm going to do is add some dimension to this. I mean, I like to have lots of little bits of dimension, things that give more perspective, right? So one of the things that does that, and this is the reason I like to put items, like inks on the edges, is to give it some depth. And right now I'm really just auditioning butterflies and things to see which one looks the best. And these are Tim Holtz Ideology Botanicals pack. It had flowers and butterflies in it. So I love the butterflies and the flowers, but this one, I'm going to see if we can't find, ooh, that's just the right butterfly. That's perfect. I love that green and black, and it looks so great on the floral. So I'm going to do up my butterfly a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of super white edges, and a lot of these pre-cuts come with these very white background edges. So I like to just add a little ink to them, darken them up a little bit, make them recede, and that's visually what darkening them up will do. It'll make that part of it recede a bit and not just kind of pop out at you like, oh, look at me. It's not going to do that. So that's why I'm adding some of the ink on there to darken that up. So next I am going to add a little dimension and depth to my pocket itself. And that's what this ink does. It's a little bit darker than my paper. So if I go around all the edges on this, it gives it somewhat of a vintage look, but for me, it's really just providing that depth that I'm looking for in this particular project. And it works for so many projects. You'll see me use this technique over and over and over again. I don't always use the vintage photo color. Sometimes I, have been known to use turquoise or red or whatever other color that is usually a darker pigment than what I'm working on. But it can definitely be made to match. But I like the depth that it provides on this. And it really soaks in. It folds really well. So I'm just going to keep going around this until this one is complete. And it's all a judgment call. You decide how much of it you want to add, what you like the look of. And you could like more ink, you could like less ink, not link, as it were. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and make sure you top up that ink with its top because it'll dry so fast. All right, so here we are. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on my butterfly. And really, this is just to create dimension. And it can help hold the flap of your pocket closed as well, if you wish. And you can also punch a hole in that flap. If you wanted to leave it up and open and make it look like a tag that's just turned into a pocket, you could just, like I said before, leave it open, punch a hole in the top, put some ribbons in there. Today, I was just really looking to give a little bit of three-dimensional interest to these. And so what I'm doing now is I'm kind of trying to fit my butterfly on there. Like, what is the easiest for it to open but also easier for it to close as well. So you don't want to have this up on the flap because you won't ever be able to open it. You want it just below it. An angle is always a nice look. It looks like your butterfly just kind of landed there in this little garden pocket. So I'm going to add a little glue to this. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. That's why I love these fine tips for the glue. You can just put a tiny little bit on a butterfly and adhere it down, and it's stuck really well on there once you get it down. And then it'll be just a matter of letting it dry on the envelope, and then you'll be able to open and close your envelope. So there you go. And I just use my bone folder every now and again to try to, push down on tiny components so that this can just sit and dry for a little bit while I do some more work on the tiny one. So here we have this small pocket, and this is great for like little notes in a journal or tiny tags or whatever you want to put in there, little pieces of ephemera or whatever it is that you have that's kind of smaller. So for this one, I need a little bit smaller butterfly. And so I'm going to put this one like I did on some of the other small ones as well. I'm going to put this on the flap of this. And who knows, later I might add some components to the flap through the hole that's there. I don't think I'm going to do that today because I really don't know what I want to add to it. So let's take a look here, and we can get this little butterfly. And I just use my thumbnail to start that fold so that the body of the butterfly can be positioned correctly for me to put glue on it. Because I don't want to glue the whole butterfly down because I do want some dimension on this particular project. I mean, if you want to glue the butterfly down all the way, do so. You can put it all over the back of the butterfly. But I'm just going to put it on the butterfly, the back of the body part of the butterfly. So we'll get that glue on there. And I always put the pin back in those fine tip bottles because if you do not put the pin back in, that glue will dry in like 20 seconds and then your whole thing will be stopped up and you'll have to be picking at it to try to get the glue out. So here's what we're going to do. See, we've got our butterfly on there. I'm going to use that bone folder again. See if I can get that to hold down there much easier. So I've got that in there. And we'll let that dry. And once it's dry a little bit, then I can maneuver it around a little bit and I can see what it looks like. So there you go. We've got this butterfly right there on the edge of that. And yeah, it's going to flip up. I'm going to wait for that to dry, or at least try to wait for it to dry. That is the one I did put that little slit in so that we could put the top of the tag into the slit, and that will hold the pocket closed. With the butterfly on it, though, I'm not so sure that's going to be really easy to do. So we'll see. But in the meanwhile, you can see some of the other ones that I've done. The one where I left the tag top open is over there with the floral on the front, and it's highly vintaged. Is that a word? With my ink, I use the ink a lot on that one to really give it a very dark look. And I'm just going to fiddle around with this butterfly and try and fiddle around trying to get this thing closed. And it's doable. It's just my butterfly glue is still pretty wet, so I don't want to finagle it too much. Once that butterfly is on there well and it's dried really well, then getting in the slit is a whole lot easier. So I was hoping to show you how this could work on that one, but it's there, but it's not perfect. So, but you get the gist of what this does. It's just giving you dimension, giving you color, all of those things, giving you a vintage look if that's what you're looking for. Like I said, if you're not looking for the vintagey look, then don't use vintage photo. Use something else like a bright turquoise or a blue A blue would be super pretty on some of this paper as well. So you can see what we have there. And I'll get those all out so you can see exactly what's what and what we have. Thank you.